All right, and I cannot claim to be an expert or to be right. It's just based on my hours of homework every day. But I literally, in its most basic form, I contribute this to the 2012 phenomena, whatever it is, because right here in the United States, I live in Washington, D.C., we have seen days with heat factors here this summer exceeding 108 degrees. Meanwhile, Southern California has experienced their coolest summer ever, and Texas may be hitting their first summer on record without at least a 100-degree day. And then you've got the mudslides occurring in Pakistan. You've got the floods happening in floods in Pakistan, the mudslides in China. The earthquakes have been through the roof, and they keep trying to attribute global warming to mankind, and I believe that's the biggest fraud ever. And this is the simplest point. There are 3 million known volcanoes that sit along the bottom of the ocean, and the climate change that's actually occurring is primarily being produced from the ocean and the ocean warming. And the best point I ever heard came from Dr. Bill Deagle, that he said, if you want to heat up a pot of water, do you take a blowtorch and heat it from the top, or do you heat it from the bottom? And I tend to think that there's some activity occurring in this planet that no one's telling us about right now that is causing all of this, and I believe it probably is the ocean that's driving it. Just like Henning was saying, Dr. Gianluigi Zangari from Italy announced about 2 weeks ago that the Gulf Stream current had broken down and stopped, and he was silenced. We probably will never hear another word from him, but nobody else is talking about that. And that tends to indicate that the northeast of the United States, the eastern coast of Canada, and Europe are going to experience a winter like they haven't seen in decades or centuries. And I wish I knew more about it all.
Yeah, me too, man. Me
I'm
too.
learning as fast as I can, and what I'm finding says this is a naturally occurring thing, and the government either desperately wants us to believe that we're the culprit, or that there is no such thing as global warming, period.
Now, folks, just so you know, this Thursday night on our first show on the Intel Hub, I'm going to have Dr. Brooks Agnew on to talk a little bit more about some of the celestial phenomenon and how it may affect our planet, or how it may be affecting our planet. And like Andrew said, all of this can be attributed to something like that, And then again, it may not be. I don't know. I'm of the same opinion as you are, Andrew. I can speculate all day. I really don't know. Now, folks, the phone lines are starting to fill up, so I'm going to take a couple of calls right now. First call I'm going to go is area code 803. 803, you're on the air.
Hey, folks, how you doing? Just calling in tonight to talk about a couple of things. One of them is the fact the fire in Russia, I think, is going to cause big problems, because I heard on the radio today that they're losing 1/3 of their wheat crop. I know in the United States we've already harvested wheat, so I don't know how their farming cycle works up there. I don't know exactly what that meant, if it's late in the season or if they're fixing a plant or what. But 1/3 of their wheat crop, that's pretty good. And 10% of the Midwest could go, and you'll see the price of bread jump up. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And for them not to be exporting at all, that sounds, it's getting down to the nitty-gritty. Everything is lining up. And what I wanted to point out is I'm a Christian. I read my Bible. The first time that the world convenes or converges on Israel, it's somewhat of a false Armageddon. It's a false flag Armageddon. It's right there in the Bible. And I believe this is the Ezekiel War. I believe that it is planned.
38.
I believe, yes, sir. That's right, Henning. I believe it's fixing to happen. And I also believe everything that's happening right now is man-made. When the wrath comes, buddy, you're going to know when God starts dishing it out. Right now, this is man setting up his kingdom. This is 666 all the way. And but we need to be prepared here in the United States, because I think we could see some nuclear strikes. And preparing survival-wise, it's one of the things that I stress to people. And I've done a lot of work in hurricanes, and one thing that we do is we always have Clorox. And one of the questions I have is, say you've got, I don't know, 10 gallons of dirty water, and you don't know what's in it, but it's water. And you put it in a little black kettle, and you throw some sticks underneath it, and you get it hot, or maybe you decide to distill it, put some copper pipe on it and run it through the pipe, and you put some Clorox in it. Would that water be clean? How much Clorox would you have to put in it? And by running it through pipe, you know what I'm saying? Is that reverse osmosis? Is that what y'all are talking about?
Go ahead and take that question, Dr. Prepper. What do you think?
Well, if you're going to boil water, that's the ultimate way to purify it, except for getting out certain toxins. But when you distill it, you take care of that. So that is not reverse osmosis, what you're talking about. Reverse osmosis is squeezing water through a screen that has holes so tiny that only the pure water drops can get through, as it were. It will eliminate all kinds of hardness, all kinds of minerals, even dissolved minerals will not go through that screen. So you're talking about 3 or 4 processes in one. You only need to do one or the other. If you distill it, that's the ultimate. You can't get it much better than that, except that you do lose the minerals. So that's the problem with reverse osmosis and distilled water. But they are 2 ways of getting really, really clean water, and you can virtually purify water. But toxins are hard to get rid of, especially those that are mixing with. We don't know about Corexit. I don't think we've run any tests on it yet, but it seems to be awfully insidious in its chemical makeup. I'm not a chemist. I cut chemistry and went to physics. I'm really good at building things. I'm not very good at understanding their chemical formulae. But you don't have to go that much work. You don't need Clorox if you're boiling. It's a waste of time. And you don't need to purify water before you put it away if it's clean. If it comes out of your tap, put it in a clean container. Don't mess with it until you're ready to use it. That's when you clean it up. Save your resources. Don't waste it. Don't fix something that can go bad if you contaminate it. So what you want to use is every economy of scale that you can. When you're under stress of not having, and unless you've been in that situation, it's hard to imagine how tough things can get when you don't have resources, you don't have education, you don't have material you can read to help you, and people advising you don't know any more than you do. Life is really hard when that happens, and a lot of mistakes are made, and a lot of people die. So what we're urging people to do is, 1, get the education. Learn about this stuff now. It's all out there. You just need to get and assimilate and decide which method works best for you, or which systems work better for you than some of the others. And keep it simple. I always say that my theory is keep it super simple so you know what you're going to do when the crunch time comes. And I know that Joe really likes water, and he's told the whole world Joe, shame on you. You told the whole world that water is, but it may be important to you first, but with experience you'll find out that if you don't have protection from the elements, if you need them, you may not need them. And so then you go to number 2, which is having clothes on your body. And if you want to live in a news colony in the Bahamas, okay, that's fine. Water's next. But you have to have shelter, you have to have clothing, and you need to have sanitation, or that water is just going to make an agonizing death for you. You've got to have that stuff, Joe. I don't know. I really wish you'd rethink that a whole bunch.
Well, that's why I'm bringing up the Clorox, because it seems to be pretty much a universal disinfectant. And but how much Clorox, say you've got 5 gallons, how much Clorox would it take to make that 5 gallons of water toxic?
Well, it's really hard to make it's really hard to put without making almost all Clorox. It dissipates so quickly. You can stir it. You can pour a cup of Clorox, which is 5 or 6 times more than you need, into a gallon of water, and you stir it for a few minutes, or warm it, or pour it from container to container, and the Clorox is gone. It dissipates very quickly. It will evaporate because overdoing it. Yes, you can contaminate it. If you can't stand the taste of it, you've done too much. That's the bottom line. I will give you. I can tell you exactly how much that is. I don't remember that stuff anymore because I've been using my own cleaning systems, and I have this humongous program up here I spent a lot of money for. If you have a gallon of water, and I can probably tell you how many teaspoons full, if it's using liquid